Under the same moon, we share the love, embracing the differences like hand in glove. Spreading peace and joy, it's a beautiful sight. Together we shine in each other's light. United we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world share in love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in and watching the world. We have an exciting show tonight. Have you heard the news that MAGA is turning on Donald Trump? Would you ever imagine such a thing could happen in life? Well, what's happening with that? Well, we don't know exactly, but we brought in an expert to talk about it and let us know what's going down. We have Calvin Johnson. Calvin is going to be here tonight breaking down the news that everybody wants to hear. Let's bring on Calvin. All
How you
right,
doing, my
Calvin.
man? What's
I'm
going
doing all
on?
right. All is well. All is well, man. So tonight we're going to talk about the latest news. It's nice to be back here with you again. And could you believe that MAGA is turning on Donald Trump? Who would have ever thought, right?
Man, this has been extremely interesting. I think the economy, I think a lot of stuff's coming out. And honestly, I think Trump has lost focus. It seems like he was more intent on getting revenge as opposed to really making sure that economically this country is going in a direction it needs to go. And I think that things are slowly spinning out of control. But once again, I try to tell people I'm not one of these emotionally attached people when it comes to Trump. I don't I don't pay attention to a lot of the insults and that kind of stuff that he says and all that kind of stuff. I'm more paying attention to what he does, and this economy is not going in the right directions. Or layoffs. You have the situation with the shutdown. You got a lot of people that are applying for unemployment benefits. You have the farmers that are upset because now we're buying Argentinian beef. This is a mess.
Yeah, definitely something. What do you think is the catalyst behind these new days we're seeing now?
People are feeling it in their pockets. Unfortunately, some Americans do not feel others' pain. Like, for example, when something happens to somebody that's not in their group, they kind of ignore it and they find ways to justify what's happening to that group. But now that group is in. We're talking farmers. We're talking about red state, middle of America, losing SNAP benefits, factories moving, federal jobs in some of these small places being shut down. And you have to realize there's some rural areas where the federal government may consist of employing half the people or 25 or 30% of the people in that population. And if you close a office up in a particular town or rural county or rural city, rural town, man, you could really do some damage to the entire community. And I don't think that those communities thought about that before voting for Mr. Trump.
Yeah, definitely. I know a lot of people are saying they were comparing this Thanksgiving with last year, and they're saying the prices were tremendously higher.
They are. I mean, I don't. It's funny. As a lawyer, I work a lot. My wife goes to buy the groceries, and she buys a lot of the food. And I had the unpleasant experience of going in to pay for some stuff. And I was like, I went to a donut shop to get my daughter a donut and some juice. And man, when the lady said 10, 12 bucks, I said, what? I mean, I used to get a dozen for, $8, $9, man, and you were good, or $7 or $6, man. We're talking about a couple of donuts and a juice. It was like 10 bucks. And I was just like, what in the world is going on in this country where two donuts and a juice is $10? We're talking about nothing fancy, just regular stuff. But when you start looking at prices in America right now, people are hurting, man. People are losing jobs. People can't afford the groceries. And I think that Mr. Trump he really needs to focus on dealing with that as opposed to this revenge tour that he's on.
As an attorney, are you seeing a difference when it comes to your clients and the economy?
Some of it I do see, but remember, a lot of it is people will continue to get in trouble. However, people are a lot less likely to let go certain sums of money. But when you think about it, sometimes paying for your freedom, you'll slack on paying something else as opposed to making sure your attorney's paid and making sure that you're out of jail. So I still see some of it because a lot of my clients are struggling to maintain their payment plans when I give those. And so I see a lot, and I see a lot of people struggling. Sometimes I don't feel it because I pay a lot of my stuff in advance because I've been blessed to be able to do that. And I had good grandparents to tell me, hey, look out for the future just in case something happens. But there are a lot of people living check to check and they're hurting, man.
Right. Remember, we covered Sean Diddy Combs trial, and right at the end of that, we were talking about Epstein, and then Epstein went away. But Epstein came back with a vengeance in these last
Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks, right?
Yeah, and I think that America really sees that Mr. Trump was really trying to keep those files from opening up. And there are some rumors that Mr. Trump is in some of these videos or in some of that Epstein stuff, doing stuff or being mentioned a lot or being around Mr. Epstein a lot. And I would have concerns about that because I've seen pictures of him and Mr. Trump, as well as I've seen pictures with him and a lot of other people. And when you're talking about being a pedophile and messing with younger girls, anybody that's in power, that's a decent man, should want that information coming out, unless you're involved in it or people that you're extremely close are involved in it.
So, what are your thoughts when it comes to Epstein? Do you really think that Epstein was just a very rich guy from his smarts, or do you think he had something bigger behind him?
I think he had something bigger behind him. I think he was very manipulative. And I think that he would use people's vices to have things on them. I mean, he would use people's vices to be able to say, "Hey, look, I need you to do A. If you don't do A, I got this tape. If you don't do B, I got this tape." I think he was very smart. I think he was very cunning. I think he was a very plotting person. And he understood the power of money, especially to those who don't have money. And he also understands the power of money to people who have it, who are trying to keep it. Because one thing you got to remember, the whole house can come down no matter how much money you got. If you get some criminal charges, you're going to be treated like everybody else. Look at Diddy. Diddy's a billionaire, but these criminal charges basically placed him in a position that nothing else could place him in outside of an actual criminal charge. So these people don't want to go to jail.
Wow. Now, when it comes to Epstein, I've heard, right, and these are just rumors. I think it's a Netflix documentary that said that he had some Victoria's Secret mega billionaire behind him and so forth. But then now you're starting to hear people say, well, he had Israel behind him.
I hear people saying a lot of that, but I don't think that Israel would be involved in pedophilia like that. I think he probably had some very wealthy money behind him. And I think that he probably put himself in a situation where he could start managing people's money. And when he started to do that, he probably started to make a lot of money. And in addition to that, you got to remember when you're in those circles of people that have money, they are really, really good at making sure that they can continue to make money. However, a lot of those folks have vices and they feel like money allows them to be able to do whatever they want. And some of the stuff, when you say be up whatever they want sexually, against the law sometimes, against human nature sometimes, there are a lot of people that have money that have these vices, and you got to think about that and combine with the issue of the money.
Now, Epstein had a picture of Bill Clinton, I believe, in one of his New York mansions, perhaps in a dress. And then, lo and behold, 2 weeks ago, when the emails came out, they kind of insinuated that there was some type of activity going on between Donald Trump and Bill Clinton. What were your thoughts about that?
Man, that has to be a rumor, man. And I'm gonna tell you, now, if that's true, oh my God. I mean, yeah, if that's true, that's gonna blow the doors off of everything. I don't think it's true, but once again, some of these guys, man, they have vices. Who knows what they do when the doors are closed and the curtains are closed and they get behind closed doors. We don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, a lot of people in the comments were saying that Bubba was a saxophone.
Hey man, Bubba is the saxophone, right? We saw that when he ran for president.
Yeah. Someone in the comments section said that Diddy is only worth 300 million. Two-stroke MX said that.
Only 300 million. That might just be enough to get a value meal and get cheese on everything, right? $300 million. I want you to think about that for a minute. Only 300 million. Okay.
Right, right. So there's a lot to unpack when it comes to Donald Trump. Let's first talk about what's happening with Venezuela. What are your thoughts about that? What's going on?
I think the Venezuela play is about the oil. I don't think it's about the drugs. I think he's trying to bend that particular regime to make sure that he does, or that the people that are leading that regime bend to the oil interest of the world. Donald Trump is very close to people with money, and I would imagine that being able to control Venezuelan oil could make a lot of people a lot of money. And I think that's about. I don't think it's about drugs.
Yeah, there was a video that came out this week where there was a boat that was shot with a missile, and then they struck it again to make sure everybody was taken out. How do they confirm? You think they confirm that these are really drug boats? There was a guy in Colombia that said, hey, his 30-year friend, been fishing forever, was taken out. He had nothing to do with drugs.
And see, that's the concern that I have. I mean, we have to be extremely careful about what we're doing as a country. There will be repercussions. You see what's happening with Canada, and most people don't understand 25 or 30% of the visitors to Vegas come from Canada. And the Canadians have decided we're not coming over here. We're not going to Las Vegas. We're not going to come spend our money here in America. So we have to be extremely careful about doing certain things in certain countries. And then when you start talking about blowing boats out of waters and we don't fully understand what those people are doing, the guy saying he's a fisherman, you don't have any proof that he's not a fisherman. You're not showing it to America, and it's just not a good look. And we got to be careful as a country. I mean, there are going to be repercussions to this kind of leadership.
Right. So let's turn the tide a little bit. They said that Donald Trump has basically made over 6 billion between him and his family from crypto and other sources. Do you think that's fair game while for a sitting president?
I don't think a sitting president should benefit from the system like that. And we know that he is bending people to his will. He's making a lot of money. And you think about this holiday season, man, there are a lot of people that are starving. There are a lot of people that don't have. Now, I've been blessed to not have to struggle, but I know a lot of people that are struggling, a lot of people that are struggling to afford rent, to afford food, to afford things that they're trying to get for their loved ones for Christmas, to afford their medicines to be able to take care of themselves. And I think you have to be extremely careful when you have a sitting president that's a billionaire and continues to make money. And I think what people have to understand that this this idea that Trump is some kind of Robin Hood who is going to take from the rich to give to the poor is that's that's a fantasy. He's not going to do that. He's gonna figure out how to make as much money as he can while he manipulates the people under him to be able to try to make us think it's about ourselves and the people that are Americans, but he is just taking the opportunity to make as much money as possible and to please a lot of powerful people. And he's not holding his words to the average American.
Okay, so we have quite a few people in the building. We'd like to ask for you to hit the thumbs up, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Calvin, would you take a moment to tell everyone who you are and how you can be reached?
My name is Attorney Calvin D. Johnson. I can be reached at 214-565-5600. I can be reached at the website theywon'tletmeout.com, and I can be reached at attorney Calvin D. Johnson at gmail.com. That's my email. The whole word attorney Calvin D. Johnson at gmail.com. I'm a 24-year practicing attorney. I do criminal defense work. I have also ran for political office here in Dallas, Texas, and I hold a bachelor's or double major in history and political science from Howard Payne University in Brownwood, Texas. And I hold a Juris Doctorate from St. Mary's University School of Law in San Antonio, Texas. And I am a graduate of the High School for Public Services, Government and Law in Dallas, Texas. So all the way from high school up through college and law school, I have been politically and legally involved.
Okay. Tyrell says we're all fighting demons. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, we all are fighting demons. But at the same time, when you're an elected official and you're in a position of power, you should not be enriching yourself. Public service is public service. You should be servicing the public, not servicing yourself. I mean, and to think when you take an issue like Argentinian beef, right? He told those farmers that he was going to make sure that we're going to make America great again. But you go out and create a deal where you're going to buy $12 billion of Argentinian beef and look at our American farmers in America that need that money. So basically, we're paying taxes to go give Argentina $12 billion for beef that we can grow here in our own country. That's absolutely ridiculous, and that's not fair to those farmers. That he was not honest with them, and he basically lied to them about taking care of them, and that's just the truth.
Okay, I read an article yesterday that an enormous amount of young people are getting colon cancer. Do you think a lot of that is contributed from the foods that are coming in from all these different countries?
I think it is. We got to be careful about the food that's coming from places. I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of people will be like, "Why are you sharing this?" I'm actually having a colonoscopy this week because I'm having stomach problems, and so even myself, I'm gonna have to go have myself checked out because of some of the food that we're getting from these countries that may not be the best beef, may not be in the best condition, may not have been raised properly. We got to be extremely careful because our quality of life can be affected. And when you look at Trump cutting a lot of these federal agencies like the Food and Drug Administration and cutting the staffing and cutting the checks on the food that's coming to America, buying beef from Argentina, we got to start thinking about that kind of stuff.
Right. You know, JFK is leading the way when it comes to health. What do you think about his approach? You think it's legit or pseudo?
It's very pseudo. He's not a doctor. He should not be in charge of medical stuff. That's absolutely ridiculous. In America, where we have doctors and we have physicians and we have great schools and a wealth of knowledge, somebody like him should not be running that particular agency. They should not be in charge of that.
Okay, all right. In harmony with what you had said previously in regards to Venezuela, Tyrell says the Coast Guard never operated like that, and they always dealt with drug dealers.
Well, and see, that's the thing, blowing people out of the water, man, you got to be careful about that. I mean, you're talking about taking lives. You don't know if these people, what they got on their boats. I mean, everybody has a right to be able to be brought in and to be able to explain themselves or at least look at the boat, man. But you're blowing people out of the water with no regard for life, man. We got to be careful.
Yes, indeed. So this week we had a major attack that happened in Washington, D.C., with the two National Guards taking on fire. Do you blame the president in any way, like a lot of people this week that have commented on this channel, or do you think it's just part of the process?
He vetted them. I mean, he told us that Biden was letting dangerous criminals in this country and they were not being vetted properly. And if it was under Biden, he'd be screaming and yelling that it was the Democrats' fault, it was the Democrats' fault, and all this other kind of stuff. Well, you're the president now, and your group of people that you appointed, that you hired, were the people that vetted this guy. Now it's on you, and you got to take responsibility for it. He just does. It's the truth. It's his turn now.
Right, right. I noticed in this particular case that the governor of West Virginia said that both parties were basically deceased before the news actually came out. Do you think that there should be more structure with the media instead of having a free fall?
I think there should be, but with that being said, the way this particular president has dealt with the media, the way he talks to them, calling people, I think, asking people, are they stupid? Calling people Miss Piggy and some of those types of things. You got to start thinking about that. You got to respect people at the end of the day. And like I said, what he says when it comes to the insults and that kind of stuff doesn't really bother somebody like me. But it's very unfortunate when you're talking to reporters, asking them if they're stupid, making comments about their looks because you don't like the questions that are being asked to you. And that's very important.
Okay. FBI gang says all presidents benefit from the system.
Yes, some do. Some benefit more than others. And Mr. Trump, and it seems like he is getting people to do what he wants because it's going to somehow financially benefit him every turn. And that's the concern that we have. I always try to tell people, like, some people think it's personal. I don't. Mr. Trump has a history of running failing businesses and they somehow come back. He has a history of using his name and influence to be able to turn that money into something tangible so that he can continue to make money. And to think that he is going to become president and not continue to do the same thing, I think is idiotic on our part. What do you think he was going to do? But at the same time, because several businesses that he has operated, they went bankrupt. There's several people when he was running talking about they were contractors and they did not get paid. I try to tell people like this all the time. I don't rock with people who don't pay their bills because as a business or small business owner myself, what if somebody didn't pay my invoice? And that invoice consists of 25 or 30% of money I need to operate. And then we set a price, and because I can't fight you, the price used to be 100,000, but you can only pay me 20 because I don't have the money to fight you. That's not the American way. That's not business. That's not standing on business. And for the most part, that's who Mr. Trump has been. And so, even though a lot of us or a lot of other Americans welcome the perspective that Mr. Trump has, as opposed to some of the previous politicians and some of the Democrats, I still have always had those concerns about the way he handles business. So that's why I could never really support him 100%. I couldn't really support him at all when it comes to handling business because he doesn't pay his bills.
Recently in the headlines, there was a big story about a contractor who hired a bunch of Mexicans to build an incredible garage and do some additions to the house. And instead of paying them, he called ICE and they were swept away. Now, he could argue that the president of the United States has hired people and refused to pay them. This is just another run of the mill tactic. What are your thoughts?
And see, that's how people are being taken advantage of now. Man, you hire them to build something, and then you you ain't gonna pay them, and they're illegal, so you call ICE to pick them up, and that's just taking advantage of people. And there's a lot of that going on in this country right now. And one of the problems that I have is when you look at immigration, yeah, you're getting people out of here, but are you solving the problem of having legal immigration? When you're getting people out of here, I was listening to some earlier, and they're taking people that were Cubans that were here and dropping them in Africa. And I was like, man, what kind of generational deportation is this? So if you can't get them back to where they got dropped off in Cuba, you're going all the way back to Africa with them. And I said, we got to start thinking about dealing with this immigration problem, and then we got to start dealing with the financial ruin of the immigrant economy when you start deporting people, when people are not here and they're working and making money, how much they contribute to the economy, how much you owe them, do you still pay them? I've heard even some white farmers talking about, hey, we don't have any workers to hit the fields anymore because there are no immigrants here. So you got to start thinking about the effects that some of the policies of Mr. Trump is going to have on people. And I don't think a lot of these yokum started through well.
Right. I just recently heard about a story, actually two stories. A friend of mine that I know, he's in a shelter in New York City. His girlfriend, who he has babies with, was from Africa. They were in a shelter. They picked her up in the shelter. Right. Another case is a gentleman that's in prison. I think he's from Haiti. And so
Mhm.
they came through to deport him during his term here because they're cleaning up the prisons. They're
Mhm.
sending him to Africa. What do you think about that?
Man, you see, that's crazy. I mean, you're deporting people to places that they don't have anybody at. I want you to think about this. If you don't want me in America, is one thing, but if I'm from Haiti, and then all of a sudden you're sending me to Africa, man, I don't know anybody in Africa. You're just basically dropping me off with no money, no resources, no way to contact my family. I mean, that's very dangerous and it's very cruel, and we got to start thinking about that. Listen, I know people coming over here is not what we want them to do, randomly pop up in America. I get that, man, but dropping somebody off in a country that they have not been in ever, that maybe 6 generations ago they had some relatives from that area of the world. Man, that's absolutely crazy to me, and I think it's heartless. And we got to start thinking about where we are as Americans and where we're going to do as a country, because there will be a day where we may not be on top, and people will remember our behavior because of this.
Some people say that they notice a lot of Europeans are not being deported. Do you think that's an urban myth or there's some truth to that?
I think there is some truth to that. I mean, when you look at ICE, they're running up on people who look black and Hispanic and asking them if they're here. Where are your papers? Uh, do you have ID? Can you show you're American citizen? See, stuff like that, man, for myself and for other people, let's say legal citizens, man, that's a very dangerous situation because I'm not going. It's going to be a fight. I'm an American citizen. My family fought, my uncle fought for this country. You are not going to touch me. There are going to be repercussions. Yeah, I probably will have an issue. But at the same time, that's where a lot of people like me feel. And there are a lot of people that are brown people that are citizens, that are black people that are citizens, that are American citizens. You are not going to put your hands on us and touch us and do anything to us in a particular way. Man, that's dangerous. We shouldn't put those ICE agents in that position, and we shouldn't put other American citizens in that position.
Okay, I was watching a program yesterday. They said that I think it was 30% of the ICE agents are Israeli. That might be a rumor, just throwing it at you.
And see, that's a whole nother thing within itself. And you got that kind of stuff happening. And man, you cannot have that kind of stuff happening in this country. I mean, you're randomly running up on people, asking them to show their papers. And and I've been stories of actual American citizens getting deported, having to answer those questions, man, that's just a bad deal. And then you got, some of those people, ICE agents being Israelis, and man, that's a bad mix of stuff. And we in America, we need to be very, very careful about what we're doing to our citizens. And you have to understand that American citizens are not going to take it.
Okay, very good. So, being that the federal workers went so long without any sort of payment, what happens now that even though things have somewhat resumed, that they took a major financial hit? Does
I
anyone
think
care?
I think they get their back pay if I'm correct. I think they do get their back pay. But with that being said, what about the bills that they got behind on? I mean, we got to start thinking about those things. That's very, very touchy when you're talking about people got behind on stuff. They paid their bills, they worked, they had this position for however many years or months. And that's another thing in this country, having these shutdowns happening. If you're a federal worker and you voted for Mr. Trump, I want you to really, really look at what happened when he got in there and how it affected your job. Either you lost your job or you spent time not getting paid. And so you have to seriously question your your honor and duty to your own family to make sure that you get paid for work that you're doing. And you got to pay attention to what has happened because you elected that particular president. Me and my wife were talking the other day, and I was like, "Hey, look, then this the next election, whoever is on the Dem side, you just got to vote for him. You got a city job. I mean, you got a city job, and this particular president is attacking cities. And so you got to vote your own interest. If you don't vote your own interest and you lose your job, that's on you.
Okay, when it comes to cities, what about the people that feel like he did a noble deed by sending the National Guard to like Chicago, Baltimore, some of the tough cities of America.
I get what he called himself doing, but he really didn't do that to help the people. He did that as a political statement. But with that being said, there are a lot of people in those cities that wanted some order. They wanted a lot of the bad people out. And let's be honest, in those cities, there were some issues. Trinidad, out in Colorado. You got places like Dallas and Houston, and you got places like Chicago that had a lot of immigrants that were uh, having gang issues, and a lot of immigrants came here and they were members of gangs in their own countries, and they were causing a lot of trouble and problems. And those people needed to be put up out of here. But with that being said, I think that local law enforcement needs to be the point person for that kind of stuff, because when you put people like ICE agents and National Guards people in city urban environments, they're not really ready and they don't really train for that kind of stuff. And you got to be extremely careful about that kind of deployment and them being able to do things in the urban environment of cities that have a million or a few million people. That can be a very dangerous environment for them. And it can be a very dangerous environment for people who are not criminals that have to engage with these particular troops or officers or ICE agents. Some of the stuff that happened in Chicago was scary. They actually tried to pay Dallas to allow them to come down, but we had to have a certain amount of arrests per day. The police chief, who has recently got down here maybe a year ago, decided that he was not going to partake in the program. Some people got upset because he would not, but he said, listen, I'm still learning my community that I'm policing it in, and I do not want to destroy relationships before I can build them. And Dallas has the best eye on dealing with its own crime problem. And we don't want an outside entity dictating what Dallas does in terms of Dallas crime. And I thought that that was a good move by him, because he needs to build relationships with the community. And you cannot have an outside arm determining what happens in your jurisdiction. If you can avoid that, I think you should avoid that. And so those are the kind of things that we're dealing with. Just like I said, just in Dallas, there was a huge argument about that.
Okay, speaking of Dallas, we talk about the redistricting and how basically Jasmine Crockett has been perhaps even beat out the game. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know that map got held unconstitutional. So, hey, man, that thing is flipped back around. So they may be in trouble trying to get her up out of there. And it's two reasons why they could possibly be in trouble. Number one, they could be in trouble because the court has held that map unconstitutional because of the gerrymandering. They said it racially attacked the areas that had high African American populations. Remember, I said that we did some shows probably about 3 months ago, and I was talking to Queen, and we were having this conversation. I got a little irritated because as a lawyer, I understand that gerrymandering, racial gerrymandering, has not been upheld by the United States courts, the appeal courts, or the Supreme Courts. And so the map that they tried to enforce was using race in terms of the gerrymandering. In addition to that, you also have an issue upon which where um, even if those maps are upheld, uh, a lot of people are not happy with the Republicans. So what you could actually do is, because people are not happy with the Republicans, when you give a new map, now you've made an area competitive. And the reason why areas have become competitive is because there has been a huge Hispanic backlash against the GOP.
Mm,
They don't like how they're being treated. They
damn.
don't like that their family members are getting kicked out of here. And
Mm.
they, from what I'm hearing, there are some places 30 and 40 points swings away from the GOP when it comes to that Hispanic vote.
So, do you think that's going to bring about a great change for the future?
I think it is. I think the damage that Trump is doing in terms of the Latino relationship with the Republican Party, he's doing damage that might not ever be fixed. Because I see a lot of stuff. Me and my wife earlier today, we were watching this thing that said Cubans for Trump. And then they're doing that. Donald Trump doing the music and the dancing, and they got the damn trumpets playing. We love Donald Trump, all this stuff. And then it blows to a clip where you lied to us. You did not do what you said you were going to do. And then all of a sudden, they're realizing that, hey, they were on boats, doing concerts, playing the merengue, doing the cha-cha-cha for him. And then all of a sudden, he gets in power and he starts kicking their kinfolks out. There are Cubans that were in this country that could not be deported to Cuba. And all they would have to do is check in once a year, once every couple of years, and they can continue to work in America. Mr. Trump has now targeted those people and going to pick them up, and then he's deporting them. And guess where he's sending them to? He's sending them to Africa, not to Cuba, but to Africa. So he went generations back. Okay, if you can't go to Cuba, y'all want to accept us? We're going to go generationally. We're going to go 6 generations back. We're going to send you back to the motherland. And so you got to start thinking about that stuff. And Latinos, even Cubans who are really conservative by nature, who really, a lot of them vote Republican. Man, when Cubans start going Democrats, then you're in trouble.
Okay. Tyrell says basically both sides are working together to appease each other every couple of years. They try to fool us. What do you think about that?
Hey, I get what you're saying, man, but I'm going to keep it real. When you think about it, both sides do have their problems, but this other side that's in power right now, man, they're diabolical. I mean, I want you to think about this. You've never been to Africa in your life. If you look back down your family tree, your great 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 grandfather probably is from the motherland, and let's say you're Cuban. Well, yeah, I don't know how you're going to find people that were connected to your great, 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 great grandfather, but you have a situation where the Republican Party and Donald Trump and his immigration policies are going all the way back to kicking you to a country that you've never been into.
Okay. Hazel P says, thank you, Mr. President, for all you do.
Hey, I understand until it affects you. You know, you're okay with it as long as it's hurting somebody else. And that's been a huge problem. A lot of people, thank you, Mr. President, for all you're doing. And next thing you know, when he take them SNAP benefits and Meemaw can't fix them beans, then all of a sudden you got a problem with your president. It's all right until it affects you, until he takes your government job, and until he makes you can't sell your crops, or to when it makes to where Meemaw can't afford her beans and make that Thanksgiving dinner because her SNAP benefits didn't show up. It's okay until then. So I think America is getting its just desserts, and when it comes to understanding, feeling other people's pain. I don't celebrate in that, but some people that don't hear have to feel, and they're feeling that pain right now.
Okay. Hazel says Mr. Kennedy has medical staff advising him. This man is speaking ridiculous.
He can have medical staff advising him all he wants, but he's not listening to him. He's taking the direction that he wants to take, and he's telling people to do based on what he wants them to do. He's not listening to them as much as he should. We know that, you know that, and I know that. So at the end of the day, there will be a change eventually. With the way that things are going right now, it is not looking good for the Republicans right now. People are not going to have this thing where they're told what they can do. They're being told who they can support and who they can criticize. You're taking their SNAP benefits away while these billionaires make all of this money. Elon Musk is getting more and more rich, and there are people at the bottom of the totem pole that can't even afford the Thanksgiving dinners. America is waking up, and when you look at these red states are really waking up, especially to the poor people in the red states, and they truly understand that it's not about race, it's about money. And when you don't have any money, they don't care about you. And if you got some money, they're trying to figure out a way to take it from you, to give it to the people at the top. And you better start paying attention. I'm not here to stump for the Democrats, or I'm not here to criticize Mr. Trump. I'm just telling you the truth. Right now, that man is not getting the job done.
Okay. One of my clients that's an FBI agent, he says that they get worried sometimes because the red states has most of the guns. Are we in
Yeah, man.
trouble?
Yeah, man, that's a problem. They do have a lot of guns and they can start doing some stuff. And you got to be careful. Domestic terrorism is also an issue in America. I mean, these people are, they feel like that they can pull their guns out on folks. And one of the things that I have been seeing is there's been a lot of situations where people in their neighborhoods and people are getting into altercations where folks are pulling out guns left and right. And I think you got to be careful about that when you do that. When you pull a gun out on somebody for no reason, you got to be extremely careful about that, especially when I'm starting to see a lot of these racial arguments where these people are clearly not the same race, and then one side is pulling a gun on the other. And you got to be careful about that, man. Somebody's going to get hurt.
Two strokes calls you a liberal. Are you really a liberal?
No, man. My deal is I try to tell people all the time, I'm for what's right. I'm for what's fair. And at the end of the day, I do not agree with what the Democrats are doing. Some of the stuff that they're pushing on people, taking our money and giving it to people that are not citizens before they take care of our own citizens. I'm not in support of that. I'm not in support of them pushing agendas on us. They're pushing their preferences on us. I'm not for that. I'm not for them going into schools and telling our students and our families, hey, your child needs to identify and this and that. I'm not with that. That is not an issue for school. They're there to learn. That should be the first thing that they do. You can call me a liberal all you want, but at the end of the day, I call a spade a spade. And so when I call a spade, that means that there are some situations where I will be liberal on, and there are a lot of situations where I'm conservative on. I'm not for having all of these babies. I'm not for people getting food stamps for a lifetime. I'm not for people getting WIC for a lifetime. I'm not for people for getting housing for a lifetime without the ability to get up and try to go get a job. I'm not for all of these far left liberal policies that a lot of people put out there. However, there are a lot of liberal policies that are keeping this country safe, and there are a lot of liberal positions that put people in a position to be able to take care of themselves. So at the end of the day, call me a liberal because I'm not rocking with Mr. Trump, but I call a spade a spade. Guy's not getting the job done. Just like when Biden wasn't getting the job done, he wasn't getting the job done. Just like when Kamala was running, and I didn't think that she was focusing on the economy and she was focusing on all this other stuff. I said it. I said it then and I'll say it now. That's at the end of the day. We got to be straight up. And just because you like Mr. Trump, uh, and maybe that I'm willing to actually criticize them, then it is what it is. But don't get your feelings hurt because your guy is not getting the job done. Just call it, just tell the truth about it, correct, and come back to the drawing board. That's all you can do.
Okay. Are you excited that Donald Trump wants to get rid of the income tax?
No, I'm not. I'm not, because what people don't understand, I love our free market economy. Don't get me wrong. But of course, he wants to get rid of the income tax because a lot of his rich billionaires won't have to pay anything and they can just stack more money. And we got to be careful when we start thinking about stuff like that. I make some good money. I hate having to pay all these taxes, but I pay them because that's part of what we got to do. You got people like Elon Musk that are going to avoid paying taxes while they're making $1 trillion. And we got other people that are starving and then he pays them nothing. You got big companies like Walmart who cozy up to Trump, who most of their employees are actually on federal assistance. Instead of them paying their employees enough, they're making the federal government pay benefits. And a lot of the Walmart workers are actually on SNAP. So I want you to think about that. I hire you as a Walmart worker. I don't pay you enough. You have to get SNAP. So now, not only am I not paying you enough, I make you go get federal benefits to get your SNAP. And guess what you're going to use SNAP on? I'm going to use my SNAP to buy some Walmart because I'm going to get a discount because I already work for Walmart. And those are the people that Mr. Trump is cozying up to. And those people are going to get tax cut. Nah, man, we're not going to do that. No, that's not what it is.
President Trump, I saw him once. He saw the people in North Korea, how they obey the top dog there, right? As they
Yeah.
say, the president. But then in this country, people don't really respect him. And then you go on TikTok, you see people acting crazy. Do you think that has a big influence on how the future will be shaped by this president?
I think it does. I think it does. I think it does. And that you cannot do that. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. You got to be extremely careful when it comes to that, you know? You when you got somebody who wants to worship somebody, you can't have that.
Okay. 7D Media says that's because he wants the word to get out that if you come here, you may be deported elsewhere. It's a deterrent, basically.
Man, that's just, you can't do that. You cannot have that happening. You can't to deport to some, think about this. You come here and you get deported to somewhere you've never been. Listen, I understand you shouldn't have came here. I get that. But man, send me back to where I'm from. I mean, sending me back to a country that I'm not from, I mean, that's just cruel. We got to start thinking about what we're doing as people. And that's the thing, you know, and that's what I get concerned about.
Okay. J Jack says Trump is a racist.
A lot of the stuff he does is racist. I mean, when he looks at, when you think about it, he points to a lot of the black and brown people as the problem. But I will tell you, I'm one of these people. I'm very careful about calling somebody a racist. A lot of stuff he does tends to blame the black and the brown people. Uh, I'm a little bit funny about when it comes to racism. When I say a little funny about racism, I don't care that you don't like me because I'm black. As long as I'm being treated fairly, then I'm fine with whatever happens. I don't look from I don't look for validation or respect from people who are ignorant enough to hate me because of my skin color. And when people are ignorant enough to hate somebody because of their skin trouble, their skin color, I don't look for their validation. I don't respect their validation. I don't care to have their validation. I'm a little different. So that's why I said with some people, when it comes to racism, they get emotional about it. Me, I could care less. When it comes down to it, if you like me, you like me. And if you don't like me, you don't like me. Fine. If you don't like me because I'm black, I'm fine with that. As long as it does not affect me, as long as it's not creating or put me in a position where I don't have the rights that I should have or the same rights you have, then I'm fine. The minute that your racism starts to keep me from having my rights, that's something that's going to be a problem.
Okay. Jamal says ICE agents are foreigners.
I don't know. I've heard that could be. Some of them could be foreigners, but I really doubt that a lot of them being foreigners. That would have concerns about that.
Okay. I noticed when I covered Sean Diddy Combs' trial, we were having, well, they were having this big protest, something like the No Kings. And so ICE pulled up, and a lot of them were foreign, I would say, speaking Spanish very well. So
Hmm.
there is some truth to that.
There is
Okay.
some truth to that, and that's the thing. You have to think about it, right? There may even be a program where he says, "Hey, look, if you are an ICE agent for a couple of years, we can help you get citizenship because you're trying to clean up our country." Or let's say you got family over here and you're trying to get people over here. Hey, be an ICE agent, and then maybe you can actually get um, some preference when it comes down.
Okay. Bog says that half of the country was Mexico 102 years ago.
See, that's the thing, you know, when you look at our neighbors to the south, there's been a lot of stuff with our neighbors from the south. We're intertwined. And when you start blaming, especially when it comes to Mexico, you start blaming the Mexicans for everything, man. That's just not a good deal because we share a lot of heritage with the people of Mexico. We do a lot of business with the people of Mexico. The economies in states like Texas are really affected by people in Mexico. I try to tell people all the time, we have the largest state fair in the entire United States, and it was the lowest attended state fair in history this past year.
Wow.
And a lot of that is because, and I remembered, I was not seeing a lot of Mexican families. I was not seeing a lot of Hispanic folks that were there. I was not seeing a lot of that.
Hmm. Wow. You think a lot of that boils down to fear?
It does. It does.
Okay. Ron Little basically says that ICE is protecting you. They're just trying to take care of you and keep these people who are taking the American tax dollars money away. What do you think?
Say that again.
He feels like ICE is just trying to protect you. That's all they're trying to do. They're not trying to do anything beyond that.
I doubt that. My concern is the way that they're doing it, the way they're treating some of the citizens. I get some of the people have to be removed in this country, the criminals. I get that. I'm not against people that are criminals being moved, but that is something that that you got to be very careful about when you do it.
Okay. Crystal, who's in the audience, is saying, by means of several comments, that ICE is operating also in Canada. So very similar to the United States.
Uh, well, I would wonder about that because the I don't think the Americans are really keen on letting the I don't think the Canadians are really keen on allowing Americans to do that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Okay. But Terry says Trump 2028.
And that's crazy. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy.
Yeah. I don't think MAGA would really be turning on Donald Trump if it wasn't for Epstein files. What do you think?
I think they would
You think
because I
so?
think financially it a lot of people are hurting, man. I mean, I'm watching videos where federal workers lost their job. I'm watching videos where people lost money. I'm watching videos um where people can't get their benefits and they can't eat. I mean, they're I'm watching stuff left and right. And I'm trying to tell you, man, it's one of those things where, man, I think MAGA will be turning on them. When it hits your own pocket, that's when it gets different.
Right. What about the people who would prefer to prevail when it comes to race rather than anything else?
What do you mean?
Well, there's some people that would endure these hardships as long as they feel or what they perceive as their race stay on top.
See, that's the thing. You got to be careful because eventually it's going to be one of the things where your race may be on top now, but one it's going to be one other thing when they say when the rabbit has the gun, right? It's all right when you're shooting at the rabbit, but when the rabbit has the gun and he's shooting back, it's different. And so you got to be extremely careful when it comes to that kind of stuff. You got to really, 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 really be extremely careful when it comes to just being. I just want my race to prevail because at the end of the day, there are good and bad black people, good and bad white people, good and bad Mexicans. You got to be really, really careful because they say all skin folk ain't skin folk. But at the same time, um, I am African American. I have nothing, uh, I have no apologies to make for wanting people that look like me to progress. I think that there's some of that in every group. But at the same time, I don't want to turn it into a race war in America because when it becomes that, we don't collaborate. We don't get to where we need to be. But I will tell you, it feels funny when it looks like that we're the ones that are being attacked, when black and brown folks are being attacked by other people in power. And we got to be extremely careful about that as America.
Do you think that Project 2025 has you doomed?
I wouldn't say it has us doomed, but I think that they're trying to put policy in place to hurt other people, to hurt minorities, to hurt poor people, to hurt black people, to hurt brown people. But with that being said, I'm always thankful and I'm always hopeful that America will see through the bull crap and actually go in and make some changes.
Okay, welcome back to you, Mark. Nice to have you back again. Mark says wrong. He wants to help the people, talking about Donald Trump.
I tell people like this. I understand that a lot of us or a lot of people in America, a lot of Americans, I won't say us, please don't say us. A lot of Americans worship Donald Trump, but let's be honest, he's a billionaire. He doesn't have the same problems that you have. There are people starving, and he's renovating the White House, making a new ballroom. He sat in front of farmers 13, 14 months ago. And now he's sitting in front of Argentinian people saying, oh, I'm not worried about those farmers. I want to buy $12 billion of your beef. While these same farmers that are raising cattle in America that he sat in front of 13, 14 months ago, he told them he was going to put them first and take care of them. So when you want to start talking about he's trying to help people, yeah, he's trying to help people, all right. He's helping his people, and he's helping them other people in other countries that are giving him some of that money. But there are situations where he's not keeping his word to Americans, and y'all need to wake up and understand that, and stop buying into the delusion that this rich guy actually gives a damn about you.
Let me ask you, do you think that Kamala would have brought about a better scenario by now if she were president?
That's the concern I have. I have concerns about some of her policies. I had concerns about even knowing what her policies were. It seems like when she gave these answers, it always went back to her mom being a small business owner. I didn't get enough of what I thought Kamala would do from Kamala and from Kamala, however you want to say her name. But at the same time, that was a concern. We can no longer have a process where you basically appoint somebody to run for president. That's what happened. The Democratic Party, because of Biden hanging on too long, basically appointed her to be able to run for office. Now, I'm not anti-Kamala. I mean, it is what it is, but I would have preferred some kind of primary so that I could hear her engage and debate other people, other candidates, so that there was a fair choice to choose we wanted to choose. But at the same time, when it comes between these two people, I would deal with Kamala before going on with what's happening with Mr. Trump right now, because he seems like he's angry. He seems like he is attacking Americans who we feel like did not vote for him. He's power hungry. He's more bent on revenge as opposed to actually taking care of people and holding his word to the people like he did with these farmers, man. He told these farmers he was going to take care of them. And so what you have is China has bought zero soybeans, $0 in soybeans from us. They went from $12 billion of purchases to zero. And then you're going to take 12 billion US dollars and you're going to give it to people in Argentina when we have people that are raising cattle here in America. You're not taking care of us. You're taking care of them. And if you like Mr. Trump and you hate what I'm saying, then you need to go talk to him about it. He's making those decisions. He's not taking care of us.
Okay, very good. Let's see here. Terry says, what about them 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old babies who caught stray bullets?
What do you mean when he says
Talking
two,
about
three?
Donald Trump is placing the National Guard in these cities to protect these people. The 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds,
Oh yeah,
nobody's
I
tuning
definitely
in.
listen. I definitely understand some of that, but there needs to be a level of collaboration with the cities. But I'm a realist. He's doing this because it's kind of an attack on the cities. He's actually going into cities and doing this because he knows that a lot of the inner city vote did not vote for Mr. Trump. And so he's using a lot of this power to go in and say he's going after criminals to actually go in and try to punish people that are in these cities that did not vote for him. Even in red states like Texas, the two areas upon which where the population is, the largest population centers in America, out of the top 5, Texas has 2 of them. He wanted to get in Dallas and he could not get in Dallas. And he wants to try to get into Houston, and he's not going to really be able to get in Houston like he wants to. And there's a bit of an attack in terms of throwing his weight around in those cities. I know you say you want to help people and lower the crime, but you're doing so in a way that can be very oppressive. If somebody like myself walks in one of those complexes and all of a sudden you're throwing me on the ground, you can't do that. I'm an American citizen and we're not going to put up with that. We're not having it. And that's just what people need to understand, He's using this going into the city thing actually to attack those city voters who did not vote for him.
Okay. AI Smart City says, wait for those tariff checks of $2,000. He thinks you're going to change your tune.
I'm not going to change my tune over $2,000. That $2,000 is going to be gone, and then the same bills that have to be paid the rest of the year are going to have to be paid. And people need to understand that. I mean, it's smoke and mirrors. He's going to have to really sit down. He's going to have to focus on the economy. He's going to have to focus on making sure that America has health care and that people are eating and that our businesses are thriving. And he got to cut this revenge tour stuff down that he's doing. And like I said, it's not personal. I mean, whether you like him or not, if you like him and you're offended by what I say, that's your problem. I'm sorry. I'm just going to call a spade a spade. At the end of the day, Americans want jobs. They want to eat. They want their businesses thriving. And he needs to get focused on that and not be focused on getting revenge against people.
Yeah, let me run something past you, right? I saw the other day where Kamala Harris and the Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, that he's trending ahead of her in running for president for 2028. If Kamala spent $1 billion, why would anybody put her back on the ticket?
I don't understand that. My whole deal is, and I'm not here to bash Kamala, but the way she was spending her money, her platform. I was telling one of my assistants that work for me in terms of platform. She was, I don't know, she's explaining, she's telling you what her plan is. She's saying this and that. And I was like, nah, I'm not really getting enough information about that. And then when it came down to black men and black women, there's a conversation sometimes that happens about y'all black men need to vote for her and y'all just don't want a woman to be president and all this and that. And I think that it kind of um, degenerates us in a sense. And when I say this, every man and every woman in America is looking up year after year trying to do better. Every week I'm trying to feed my family. Every week I'm trying to do more business. Every week I'm trying to make more money. Every week I'm trying to make sure that I can advance in this life and advance my financial and social status in America. And I think that sometimes people forget that you have to actually talk to those voters who are voting for you. 8 out of 10 black men vote Democrat. 9 out of 10 black women, or 92 out of 100 black women vote Democrat. Those are the two largest voting blocks in the Democratic Party. So you're telling me that I have to beg you, when I'm your second most valuable voter, to come out with a platform that's going to tell me how I'm going to benefit off of you being elected, but you're going to put other groups, gender stuff in front of me. You're going to put abortion stuff in front of me. You're going to put all of these other groups' issues ahead of mine, and you won't even address me. You expect me to continue to vote for you just because I'm afraid of what the other side is going to do. You can't do that. You got to really sit down. You got to make sure that you talk to the voters who are going to vote for you. And when I look at Kamala and the way that she was spending that money and people were getting paid, I have a lot of questions about how that money got spent. I have a lot of questions about her platform. I have a lot of questions about the way that she decided to proceed in setting her platform. Now, I grant you, a lot of these problems were caused by Biden staying in the race too long, and that she didn't really get the team to get out there to do what she wanted that team to do. But I was not. Um, I was not fully comfortable with her as the candidate not because I wouldn't vote for her. That was not a problem for me. The problem is I didn't see independents voting for her. I didn't see a certain amount of people in rural towns voting for her to the point to where we had a chance. I did not see her getting the vote out. I would look at some of those situations where you had Megan Thee Stallion and Glorilla, and you had all these celebrities show up at these major events. And the minute that those celebrities walked off the stage, people left the room. And I think that those are the concerns I had for her as candidate. I don't think that maybe her running again is really the best thing to do, seeing how she lost to this particular guy. That's the concern that I have. But I'm not doing. I mean, I think most of America realizes that having Mr. Trump in here right now, it's not looking good, and so a lot of people are going to be looking for alternatives.
Okay, David says you are proving the point of you are dependent on the government. They can take it away. Democrats started all of this. They have enslaved generations.
I think at the end of the day, you can have political parties, you can have political leanings left or right. But the truth of the matter is, a lot of the African Americans have to start taking the money that they earn. They have to start using the money better. They have to start taking their lives into their own hands. Now, a lot of people, oh, you sound like a Republican. No, I don't sound like a Republican. I sound like a black man who has taken his destiny in his own hands. And in America, African American people, brown people, we better start taking our destiny in our own hands and quit worrying about what the government is or isn't going to do. We can't keep making excuses. And when it comes to African American people, we are the largest consumer group, or one of the largest consumer group every year in and year out. And we cannot continue to do that, to take our money in our communities and just all of a sudden give it out to other people and then complain of the fact that we're not getting money and opportunities. We better figure this out. And if the last election proves anything, other people from other groups don't give a damn about what's happening over here. So we better start giving a damn about ourselves. And that's just the truth. You don't like it, that's on you.
Okay. You all think you know says, yes, you are. You hate Trump. Stop spreading hate and talk to your brothers and sisters about crime.
At the end of the day, I can talk to my brothers and sisters about crime. And if that's the case, then I ask you to talk to your brothers and sisters about getting off all those SNAP benefits and trying to say that my brothers and sisters get it the most. I mean, we're not going to get anywhere by trying to blame black people, brown people, white people. It's poor against rich. And at the end of the day, we can sit here and name call. I see a lot of people in the comments, oh, you're liberal. What? If you want to think I'm a liberal, that's your opinion. I don't care. I'm to a point where I want this country to progress. I'm liberal in some things and I'm conservative in other things. But the minute that somebody says that they don't like something that this particular president is doing, oh, you're a libtard, you're a liberal, man, I could care less about that. Can you pay your bills? Is America suffering right now? Are these people getting tax cuts while other people are starving? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I want to discuss. I'm not going to be labeled as a liberal or conservative or Republican or Democrat. I'm an independent person who's an independent thinker, who's willing to call the Democrats to the mat as well as I'm willing to call this president to the mat. And just because you like this president or you like the Democrats, you can say whatever you want to say to me from both sides. But I'm going to tell the truth. And I'm one of the few that's willing to tell the truth because I'm not going to be on one side or the other. I am analytically thinking about this situation and I'm calling it what it is.
Okay. Reggie says, only those who are able to work but won't are losing SNAP.
And I don't think that that's true, and then on top of that, there are a lot of people that, because of their situations, can't work as much as they would need to work to be able to afford their groceries. There are a lot of people that are working jobs that are getting SNAP. I don't think y'all understand. There are some people that have jobs that are still getting SNAP because their jobs don't pay them enough money. Go ask Walmart. That with the hustle that they got going on over there is epic when you think about it. So you got to start thinking about that. And at the end of the day, listen, this is the hustle that just got ran on America. They want to point to LGBTQ, transgender, abortion. They want to take your Christianity and your faith, and they want to use that against you to vote for them. And the minute that you use your Christianity and your and your faith to vote for them, they cut your benefits off, they take your jobs away, and then they disappoint you. So they're using these social issues that you don't agree with to get you to vote for them. And then the minute you look the other way, you have nothing in your pocket because they're taking your wallet out of the back of your pocket. Some of these people on here have to wise up. At the end of the day, this country isn't doing well. There are a lot of jobs that we're losing. He's giving tax cuts to the rich. There are people out here starving. There was a video of Walmart on Black Friday being blank. Y'all better wake up.
Okay. Bog says, I'm a socialist. What if jobs don't pay enough? What do you do then?
There goes, you have a place like Walmart that doesn't pay enough, and then people on there have to be on federal benefits, and they have to be on some kind of insurance to get their health insurance because Walmart's not providing. A lot of these companies are making a lot of money and they're not paying their employees enough. And then those employees are going on and getting benefits, you know?
Okay. Guys, hit the like button, hit the thumbs up, like and share. Reggie says, liberal policies are destroying America. It's the liberals' fault.
Liberal policies are destroying America. Hmm. When you think about it, the Republicans are in control of all three houses right now. Isn't America being destroyed right now? I mean, they control the shutdown. They control the presidency. They control these tariffs. They're buying $12 billion of beef from Argentina when we're creating beef in America. They destroyed the soybean market. And a lot of us are so myopic that we're so tied into this political argument, this political environment of calling yourself a liberal or calling me a liberal and you're conservative and you're a real American because you're not with the liberals and liberal policies are destroying America. While they're telling you liberal policies are destroying America, they're cutting your jobs. They're cutting the taxes on the rich. They're taking your SNAP away. They're taking your medical insurance away, and you're still pointing to liberals as your problem. The conservative party and the MAGA people have a problem in their own backyard right now, and they better start dealing with it, as opposed to coming here on these podcasts and throwing around words like liberals and you hate Trump and this and that. It's not an issue of me liking or hating someone. It's not personal. If you're doing something to help Americans, if you told Americans 14 months ago, farmers, that you were going to buy beef from them, and then you go take our $12 billion, my tax dollars, and go give it to Argentina, I'm not for that. Okay? Number one. Number two, I'm also not going to sit back and allow you to buy soybeans, to not allow me to be able to sell my soybeans to China when they bought $12 billion last year, and then all of a sudden now they're buying nothing, and that soybean market may never return.
Okay. Um, Titan says McDonald's and Walmart have the most employees of federal and state entitlements.
Bingo, that's what I'm saying. Think about that. Think about that.
Okay.
Think about that. Some of the largest corporations having their employees on federal benefits, and they're recording record profits. Think about that for a minute.
Yeah. That's a big issue in this country and probably around the world. Bog says people don't like their neighbors anymore, and they get attached by the issue of sacrifice, hating another.
And see, that's the thing. A lot of people are looking what somebody else has. And what I think that the Republican Party has done a really good job of, they pointed to, look at what they have. Look at what the immigrants have. Look at what everybody else have. They're taking your stuff that belongs to you. And while they're saying this to you, they've got their hands in your back pocket taking your stuff away. They're taking your insurance away. They're taking your SNAP away. They're taking your federal job away. I was watching a video today where they had several people who voted for Mr. Trump who actually got their federal jobs taken away from them.
Wow. That's crazy. Patrick says, "Go Ice, go."
Hey, if that's how it is, as long as ICE don't touch the wrong people, then that's fine. But at the same time, they got to be careful because it's fun until ICE starts affecting somebody that you know, till it touches a family that you know, or they decide to go in and do something to somebody that you love.
Right. Recently, I've been traveling a lot. In San Diego, I've been quite a few places by the border. I hardly see any black people throughout those areas. In fact, when I went to the grocery store, they were looking at me strange. So, how is it down in Texas where you are? Do you have a diversified population, or is it mostly Hispanic people? You're muted.
Out of the population is diversified. A lot of the population is diversified in Texas, but you're seeing a lot less of the Hispanics being out doing stuff. And I think they're concerned about the behavior of ICE and some of the attitudes that are toward brown people in this country right now. I think that's very troubling here. But I think there's a mix of folks down here in Texas when it comes to blacks, Hispanic, and white folks.
Right. Now I know that Elon Musk he contributes a lot to society. Bog says Elon Musk is taking the tax dollars. Look at where the tax go. When Doge was actually going through the White House trying to find those extra shekels, right? Elon Musk was receiving 8 million a day. Can you imagine that? 8 million a day. You're you're uh you're
Sorry
muted.
about that. Wow, man, that's crazy. But that's what I'm talking about. Hold on for a second.
Okay. All right. So yeah, Elon Musk was receiving $8 million a day. Okay, let's look at Patrick. Patrick says, where was the outrage when Obama deported 2 million? I think to date, Barack Obama has deported more people than any recent president. Now, that does that mean that Donald Trump won't surpass him? I'm not sure, but it is quite possible. Calvin, what are your thoughts about that? You're muted.
He he did deport a lot of people. He did deport a lot of people, and that's something we have to think about.
Okay. All right. Let's see what Rick has to say. Rick says the economy is in the shambles. That's why people are turning on Trump. Okay. So, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, people are turning on Trump because they're not making money anymore. They're not making money anymore. When you start to hurt families and they can't make their money, that's very difficult for them. People, when you can't pay your bills, it's a whole nother ball game.
Right. You know, a lot of people might get offended with what I'm about to say, but it's no big deal that I'm actually a black guy, right? But I
Mhm.
get agitated when I go to TikTok or places and I see black people acting a fool with no sense of direction, right? So I
Bingo.
think that's how we end up with this project 2025 because now they're trying to force everybody's hand. Even like when I try to reach out to the younger generation, sometimes when you put it before them, they don't even want to pay attention. They're like, "Oh, that's old school. I don't want to hear it."
Hey, listen, there was an issue here in Dallas, right? There was a principal at Woodrow Wilson High School, and she had watched a lot of the behavior of her students. She had watched how a lot of their scores were not where they needed to be. She had watched their behaviors in classrooms and the priorities from their parents. And she decided to pull the set those people to the side, a whole group of black students, and talk to them. Don't you know a lot of people in the community got mad at her? That she singled out the black kids for doing A, B, and C. And I'm like, no, listen, she had access to the data. She saw the data. And her being a principal and being involved in education for 20 years, she saw the behaviors of some of their parents when they were getting dropped off. She saw a lot of stuff. And she ought to be able to say something about it. And that's what we are as black people. We got to be extremely careful when we are not okay with correction. Correction is needed. Some of our young people don't want to listen to us, but they have to listen to us. And at the end of the day, I don't want to be judged by a group of people that are acting a fool when they should be conducting themselves better.
Okay, Reggie says ICE is doing a beautiful job. If you crossed over the border illegally, you committed a crime and you need to be deported.
Hey, I don't have a problem with when ICE does this job, but randomly pulling people over, telling black folks in Chicago in the hallways to get on the ground, they're citizens, I'm not with that. And God forbid if they ever run into me, because they're not supposed to be doing anything to me, having any contact with somebody like me. I'm an American citizen and I'm going to act as such. And there are a lot of people that are okay with them doing the job that they do, but they have to do it with respect and they got to do it where they don't affect the rights of others that are here legally.
Okay, Tracy, nice to have you here. Tracy Moore says, why does it always come down to race with you people? We're not the ones running around calling each other the N-word. There's nothing wrong with different tribes.
Hey, there isn't anything wrong with different tribes. And you got some people that are running around calling people N-words, but you got other people that are running around in their communities, shooting at schools and so on and so forth, doing stuff that they should not be doing. And at the end of the day, every group of people, when it comes to black, whites, and Mexicans, we have our own problems. In the African American community, we have issues with some of our young people in crime sometimes. In the white community, sometimes we have problems with some of the domestic terrorism, some of the racism, some of the school shootings and those types of things in those particular communities that they have those issues. In the Hispanic community, you have issues with sometimes drugs and sometimes being here illegally or illegally or having too many ties with the cartels. Everybody and every tribe has their issues in their communities. But at this point, let's be honest, the Republican Party that's ran by MAGA controls all three houses. And right now, things are not going like they needs to go. And that's just the truth. And so we have to now, as they say, in an election, the Democrats lost and the public held them accountable. Now the public needs to hold the Republican Party accountable.
Okay, Titan says, I'm 60 years old and Trump is definitely the worst president, worse on the economy than Herbert Hoover and more corrupt than Nixon.
And hey, look, I can understand how somebody could definitely feel that way based on his performance right now. The tariff thing isn't working. American companies are suffering. There was a story about NVIDIA, the chip maker, and how Mr. Trump came and changed some policies that were in place when Biden was there, where they couldn't sell certain chips, but they could sell others. Well, he blocked sales of all chips. And what NVIDIA did, what the other countries did, is they went in and start developing the lower chips that now that NVIDIA can sell, that could not sell. And then Mr. Trump realized he made mistakes and then realized I'm gonna open them back the market up, right? Well, guess what? They've already learned to make the chips that NVIDIA was selling in an American company. Now NVIDIA has no market for the chips. Those are the kinds of mistakes that he's making that he needs to pay attention to. And right now, the day of reckoning is coming. This country, for the longest, wanted to blame all the liberals. They wanted to blame all the Democratic policies. They wanted to blame crime in the cities, and those are not the issues right now. I want you to think about it. You think people are worried about crime in the cities right now, or you think people are worried about certain stuff in African American communities? No, they're not. They're worrying about how they can get their SNAP benefits, the fact that they've lost their jobs, the fact that they can't pay their bills. That's what they're thinking about. And this is happening under a Republican Party who controls all three houses. It's your turn now. You got to take responsibility and you got to own it. And that's just for anybody.
Okay. Patrick says, but Obama can build a basketball court.
Hey, yeah, he can build a basketball court. At the end of the day, it's that kind of stuff. When you think about stuff, like you said, this gentleman here, he wants to talk about Obama and basketball courts. You need to go and start looking in your community and figuring out, hey, who can you help, sir? Who can you help? Is it somebody that lost a job? Go talk to them Ask them about them losing their SNAP benefits. Asking some of those people about the companies that are hurt by some of the tariff policies. It's not about that. I think when it comes down to it, especially being African American, sometimes even when people make comments like that, we can't really react to it. We can't really worry about it as much. We got to keep people on facts, right? We got to keep people on the issue. I could care less about a basketball court. What I do care about is people being able to pay their bills. What I do care about is people being able to eat. What I do care about is these billionaires getting all these tax breaks while other people are starving and them not paying their workers enough to be able to make a living, and then those same workers will need to be able to get federal benefits. And one other thing that I want to say, because I see a lot of the stuff in the comments, and this is the kind of stuff that kind of, in a sense, that I say that the current politics has turned into. They got the key terms. They'll call you a liberal. They'll say Soros. People will say MAGA. People will say this and people will say that and libtard and all those kinds of things. And I think that that's where we are in America right now. We're so tied to these tribes and the name calling, and then some of the name calling is happening from another side who's not even focused on what they should be focused on. Instead of worrying about what the liberals are doing, go talk to your president about taking their money from the farmers and spending $12 billion over in Argentina. And instead of destroying the soybean industry in America, where he promised those farmers that in rural red state America that they were going to profit, now they're not profiting. He cut the subsidies off and he cut their market off. Look at some of these towns. There was a town earlier today that 40% of their employees are at the station that the federal government runs, and I think Christy Nome has basically shut down this particular station in Homeland Security, and now 40% of the people in that particular small town in a rural area that's a red state, now they don't have jobs. So those are the types of things that we got to start getting focused on. The people in red state America better wake up. I mean, this is a hustle. I mean, a billionaire is not coming to save you. He's coming to take money out of your pockets and then give it to his rich friends. And while he's doing it, he wants to call people liberal and worry about black and brown and worry about them and worrying about illegals while at the same time taking money out of your back pockets. That's just the truth. And, when Trump came in, yes, some people have to be deported. I agree with that. And I also agree with that we should not be spending a lot of money on stuff for people that are not citizens. That should be spent on Americans first. But we got to be realistic. We got to be realistic. And I try to tell people when it comes to some of the people getting deported, there were a lot of people that needed to get put up out of here. Let's be honest. Everybody can't be here. Everybody can't be over here. You got people that are gangs that were bringing crime, that were doing stuff that they had no business doing. They got to get up out of here. But at the same time, you got to be careful about how you get people out of here and some of the other stuff that you're doing. I don't have a problem with ICE going and getting people out of the country that don't belong here. But at the same time, I'm a realist. What about the farms that survive off of the immigrant work? You got to start thinking about financially how things are going to hurt your country. And you got to be smart about figuring those things out.
Okay. Brian Cantrell. First, I want to say, guys, if you don't mind, hit the like button, share, subscribe. Calvin, take a moment to tell everybody what you do for the new people in the room.
Hey, listen, I'm attorney Calvin Johnson. I'm a 24-year practicing attorney. I have been practicing criminal defense work on the local, state, and federal level for the past 24 years. I've had my own business for the last 24 years. I have a degree in political science and history, double major from the great Howard Payne University in Brownwood, Texas. And I have a law degree from the St. Mary's University School of Law in San Antonio. And I finished from the High School for Public Services, Government and Law magnet here in Dallas, Texas. So ever since I was in the 9th grade up until now, I have been politically and legally involved in understanding politics, history, and the law. And so I'm just here to provide my opinion. I love America. I love this country. Even the people that don't like me, I want them to prosper. My uncle is a Bronze Star winner. He basically was an Army veteran who saved his entire regiment and literally got an award for it, sacrificed his family here with some of the stuff that he went through. My grandfather's a veteran. I have a lot of respect for people who have fought for this country, and I have a lot of respect for my ancestors, black, white, and brown. And I want everybody in this country to come together so we can really figure this out. We got to quit calling each other names. We got to quit calling, oh, you're a liberal and you're this and you don't like Mr. Trump and you like George Soros. I don't care about George Soros. I don't care about being called a liberal. I want this country to start progressing. I want people to have opportunities to make it in this country just like I have. I've had the ability to come from a very poor neighborhood to make it all the way being a lawyer, and I'm almost 25 years practicing. So we want people to have those kind of benefits in this country and be able to move forward.
Okay, if you guys would like to come up, we're about to end the show, but if you'd like to come up for a minute and ask a question or comment, share some dialogue, feel
Yeah.
free to hit the link. Calvin, there's a pointed comment for you from Brian Cantrell there if you want to address it.
Yeah, and I definitely understand we're not attacking you, but we got to be realistic. Trump fixed the board and brought in the National Guard to lower crime. I get that. I don't have a problem with that. And that's why I said I'm not going to just kill Trump for that, because I think that he needed to do that. We needed to have some kind of um, um, fixing of this border situation. People can just not walk over here and then be expected for all of us to take care of them. My brothers and sisters in Chicago were dealt wrong, or done real wrong when they had to pay for all of these people coming over here, and they ended up in billions of dollars in debt, even though for years that they asked for people to invest in their communities. That wasn't fair to them. So I definitely understand when you say that Trump had to clean up some of this immigration stuff. I do not have a problem with that.
Okay. Eric says illegal employment problem, not illegal immigration.
I think that there has to be coming of the people got to come to the table on immigration. The Democrats and the Republicans need to sit their butts down and figure this immigration thing out. There has to be a better way than doing it like they're doing it right now. I'm pissed at both sides because both sides benefit from the rhetoric, but nobody wants to sit down and create a solution. With all the smart people in America, you mean to tell me that these guys have been in Congress 10, 20, 30, 40 years and they can't figure immigration out? That's ridiculous. America should not accept that from the Republicans or the Democrats. People need to sit down and get this problem figured out.
Okay. All right. Here's another pointed comment to you from Eric.
Calvin, this is a cult that started on a radio show in Sacramento by Rush Limbaugh and Tom Sullivan specifically. And I will tell you that sometimes when I do engage with the MAGA, as I call them sometimes, MAGA sycophants, if you say anything about Trump doing anything wrong or disagreeing with anything that he has done, they will quickly go to calling you a liberal. They'll start bringing up George Soros. They'll start bringing up crime and guns and your people and all of this and that. They definitely will go there with you. And I think that some of it is a cult, that they don't have the ability to assess certain things when it comes to the person that they believe in. There are some people that worship everything that Trump does like it's some kind of Jedi mind trick. It's not a Jedi mind trick when he cuts your benefits off, takes your job, and destroys an industry. And that's not a Jedi mind trick. I mean, that's happening to you, and that's not some smart way that he's really fixing this and draining the swamp. You have to be honest with yourself to know that no matter what politician that you're dealing with, they're not all telling you the truth, and they're not always doing what's in your best interest. A lot of them are doing what's in their best interest.
Okay. I bet your face says, what's your opinion of the legal definition of the word carry with respect to firearms?
Um, it depends on what state you're in. It's just not like a one definition that's going to fit everywhere, you know. Certain states allow you to carry in a holster. Certain states you got to show it. Certain states It just depends on what state you're in. There's not really a legal definition depending on what state you're in. And I don't even know what state you're in. There's a lot of different variances all over this country. We got 50 different states. We got 50 different sets of laws. And in Louisiana, we got the codes, which are different from the actual laws in every other state. So we got to really start thinking about that.
Okay, very good. So I just want to run this past you. I know we're running out of time here. Tomorrow starts the hearing for Luigi Mangione. I'll be at the courthouse bright and early in the morning, going live all day. What do you think? You think that video pretty much damns him?
It does, man. The technology nowadays, oh my God, they can follow you. They can get you where you leave at. They can track you between your phone and all of these Flock cameras. Flock is a company in Florida, and they probably got 60 to 70% of this country camered up now. And so, I mean, a lot of that camera work is really, really, really gonna hurt a lot of people. I saw somebody say cutting out all the wasted USA aid. People have to understand that USA aid is a way for us to be in certain countries to be able to do certain things. A lot of that aid is strategic, so you got to be extremely careful about saying we shouldn't give this country that and this country this, because a lot of the relationships we have in this country, you're not just feeding people; those relationships are strategic. So it's not just as simple as cutting somebody off and keeping the money for yourself.
Okay, all right. Eric says arrest business owners exploiting cheap illegal labor. Problem gone in 2 weeks.
That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen, because you have to realize some of these employers are also giving you cheap prices when you buy stuff from their companies, and so it's intertwined into the economy, and that's why I said this Congress, public Republicans and Democrats need to sit down and fix the problem. Well, what you're getting is every 4 years you got one side pointing to the other side,
Yes, definitely.
and we got to cut that out. And that's why I say when it comes down to it, most of the time I've definitely voted Democrat. Um, but when it comes to certain things, I don't like some of the things that the Democratic Party does at times. I definitely don't like a lot of what the Republicans do at times when it comes to policy and the way that they treat people at times. So when it comes down to it, I really am a type of person that I look at my community. I try to do what I think is best for my community and the people that are around me. And I'm willing to do that. And I'm willing to go against the Republicans and the Democrats to do that if I have to. It's all about my community and the people and the needs that I see that they need. That's what I'm for. I'm not for one party 100% or the other party 100%. It's about, hey, what's going to help this community that I'm in?
Okay, so we reached our time and no one seems to want to come up. So I just want to ask you as the final question, what do you think about Letitia James and James Comey? What ironically
Wow.
those two names.
Wow. Let me tell you this, the way that they got the indictments on those, man, wow. Uh, the the U.S. Attorney General or the special prosecutor needs to be very careful about the ways she did that. What she did in terms of getting those indictments, the way that she got them, and you notice that those things were thrown out. You cannot do that. Those cases, I think, were fully for retribution. And not only were they for retribution, I don't think that they followed the proper steps and the proper processes to be able to indict these people and actually bring them to court. And in America, we need to be extremely careful about this, because we don't want to, every time something happens and the president changes, that we decide that we're going to prosecute the people that are now that were in power, but now I'm in power. I want to prosecute them, and that could lead us down a very, 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 very slippery slope.
Okay, all right, very good. So thank you very much. It was nice having you on today, as always. I'll have you close out.
Well, I'm gonna tell y'all, if y'all heard anything in the background, that's my daughter who loves her dad making a little noise trying to get us. But that's real life. Me and Mel do this for real. We come on every week, 7 p.m. on Sundays in Texas time, 8 p.m. in New York, and on New York time. We really, really love the community. We love the fact that we're able to engage with you. If you're MAGA, come on and tell us your opinion. If you are a liberal Democrat, come on and tell us your opinion. If you're an independent, come on and tell us your opinion. But we're going to call a spade, and we're going to call a club, and a heart, and a diamond. And if you're the Democratic Party and you make mistakes, me and Mel are going to say it. If you're the Republican Party and you make mistakes and you're not putting the people first, we're going to say it. We're not a fanboy of this side or that side. But at the same time, we have a lot of issues going on in America with this president. He wants to be more of a dictator. And he really, really, really needs to pay attention to the American people and the economy. And he really needs to quit this revenge tour and really focus on feeding our people, fixing our country, fixing our business, making sure people can pay their bills. They definitely need to do that. And I can leave y'all with that. At the end of the day, I don't think any particular party is going to fix all our problems. I think it's up to the people to hold these parties accountable one way or the other and do everything that we can to be able to fix this thing in America.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. And that's what we have. One more comment. Why the Republicans wrong for one in the law upheld, Calvin. The damn ripped the border down to replace the conservative electorate. Listen, I don't have a problem with the law being upheld. I mean, that's what we want. At the end of the day, if somebody's in this country and they're not supposed to be here, we shouldn't be paying all of this money to take care of people that shouldn't be here. And we shouldn't just let people walk over. That's not an immigration policy. But you cannot do what you're doing and round these people up and send them to countries that they don't belong to when you know that you have a Congress, a president, a House of Representatives and Senate that you control, and you're not putting any legislation in there to fix the problems. You should be drafting legislation because you have the power. You should be drafting legislation to fix this problem. You want all three houses. You were elected in all three houses to fix this problem. Fine, put people out that are not supposed to be here, but also put laws in place to be able to deal with the issue long term instead of just dealing with it short term. You have all three houses now. You have no excuses. You got to get it done.
Okay, so what are your closing words for the week as we go into Luigi Mangione tomorrow covering it? What's your words for the rest of the week, Calvin?
Hey, I think in America there's going to be an uprising, and people need to understand that. When I say people understanding there's going to be an uprising in America, people are tired of getting played by political parties, whether it be Republican or Democratic parties. These parties are going to start to have to actually follow through what they're saying. They're going to have to put it up. They're going to have to put up or shut up. When they guarantee something and when they say that they're going to do something, they got to do it. Right now, MAGA's mad at their president because a lot of them are losing their jobs. A lot of them are losing their benefits. A lot of the economy is going south. The prices are skyrocketing. People are not shopping like they used to shop. And there are a lot of people hurt in this country because of the tariffs and because of the way that this president is handling the economy. If you're a Republican, if you're MAGA, hold him accountable. And if you're a Democrat, when the Democrats are in there and they're trying to push all this stuff on you that you don't agree with, and when they want to allow you to hold true to your foundational Christian values, if you're a conservative Democrat, push back on them. You should not be allowing a party to tell you how to feel and what you should be doing. You should be telling them what to do because they represent the people. And that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that whether you're Republican or Democrat, that you hold both sides accountable to do what they're supposed to do. Once again, this is the weekly legal review with Mel and Calvin. We want you to definitely tune in next week. We're going to be back here again, 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. New York time. We want to have this real conversation with you. We love you all. Even if you're MAGA, you think I'm a liberal, you're still an American, I want the best for you. If you're a liberal, I want the best for you. If you're an independent, I want the best for you because we're all Americans at the end of the day. We want to appreciate you tuning in and continue to tune in with us every week.
Different voices, but the same song. Loving a world where we all belong. Kindness leading the way, breaking the chains. In the symphony of love, the flame remains. Embracing diversity, brighter days in sight. Watching the world share in love and light. painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.